What's up everybody, King of Fomo here, coming at you with your daily crypto update. In today's video, we're going to take a break from talking about NFTs and we're going to talk about some of the old school stuff. We're going to get into Drip Network's Manor Farm. So this is a pretty complex, complicated smart contract, pretty much akin to the farming days if you guys were farming before with me, or if you're still farming, similar to that. However, there's a lot of additional kind of features added to this contract and to this ecosystem that make this significantly more interesting than just another typical farm. So we're going to get into that, and on top of that, the Drip network has a pretty good track record. I mean, if we take a look at the chart right here, we can see that the Drip network started in about July, rose up to about $50, and the price, this is the important key here, the price has decreased over time, but the price has not dumped to zero and become completely worthless. And if you follow the community that's kind of formed around Drip as well, they haven't abandoned the token at all. So looking at how the community is still intact and the coin is for the most part still intact after all this time, and the team is still developing things as complex and complicated as the Manor, it gives you good vibes in terms of the fact that this thing is not just going to be a quick pump and dump. At least that's my personal opinion. I've been wrong plenty of times before, as I'm sure you guys know, but I've also been right plenty of times before as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to explain to you guys what the actual back end of how this whole Manor farm works. Now, it does get pretty complicated. This is a 2-layer, 3-token farm launch. I'm really just going to be talking about the first layer in this video, because the first layer happens within the first 14 days of this thing launching, and then you're going to get into the second layer and some of the other stuff, but you don't have to really worry about that until we get closer to that date. So if it gets too confusing, I'm going to try and keep it simplified by only talking about mostly the first layer in this video. And also, before I continue, I usually do this plug in the beginning of the video, but I forgot, so let's get into it right now. Make sure you guys head on over to my Patreon. That's where I'm going to be doing two things if you guys sign up for a membership level there. One thing is you're going to be getting access to my Discord, where we talk about things like drip finance and other NFT stuff earlier before I make videos, and you'll get access to all of my videos, including this one, 2 to 3 days earlier than everybody else on YouTube. So it's going to be very helpful for those of you who are plugged into this space, and as we get more and more high yield stuff coming through in crypto, as I talk about it as much as I can. So back to the topic at hand. So this is the website, this is the Manor farm, and this is the Drip community website that I'm sure you guys are familiar with if you've been involved in this contract in the past. But again, we're focusing on the farming. Now, this website is live, as in you can visit it, but the contract is not live, so none of the buttons work. You're going to see coming soon everywhere. And they're actually announcing, I believe in the next day or so, the actual launch date for this thing. So don't ask me when exactly this thing's going to be out, because they haven't announced that launch date. You will know that within the next, I think, 24 to 48 hours. But let's get into the white paper right here, which explains kind of what this thing is all about. There's a table of contents here, talks about all the layers and everything like that. But I want to get into the meat and potatoes, which is, we're going to skip the pre-sale, and we're going to talk about this right here. So the layer 1 post raise. So let's go to the website and look at the farm first of all. So the farm, I'm sure you guys are familiar with screens that look like this. You have many different farms that are available on here, and it looks all normal at first, but you'll notice that the first 3 tokens are new tokens, or tokens that are tied to the Drip community. So the first one is the Rev tokens, so Rev WBNB, Rev BUSD, and then Drip BUSD. Now, the important thing to note here, as I'm going to kind of skim through the white paper, is these first 3 farms right here do not have a fee when you jump into it. So this is what I'm going to be focusing on. It's kind of the higher risk, higher reward for the degens out there. I mean, if you're going to be putting some funds into these other farms, your stable coins, WBNB, BUSD, you're going to get lower APR and you're going to get a deposit fee. But especially if you're joining these things at the beginning, and if the community is successful and the coin is even a little bit successful, you're going to be getting huge profits out of these first 3 higher risk farms rather than joining the other ones. And you can decide after a day or two of profits to move over to a safer farm or a safer pair, or stick with the one that you're at, and seeing where the token goes. And I mean, as we can see over the past kind of couple days, the drip token has been rising parabolically due to the fact that people are anticipating this to be a pretty good launch. So we'll see what happens, but that's the first thing to note here with those layers. So reading along here, it says layer 1 post raise. Those who get into the pre-sale will receive a pre-sale token, PREV, pre-sale rev, which will be exchangeable on the website for the layer 1 native token rev immediately after the liquidity is added. There will then be a 30-minute grace period that allows investors to get into the pools and farms before the reward emission starts. So this is a pretty good thing. I mean, this shows you that they're well versed in knowing how these farms work. If we go over actually here to the pre-sale, and again, I don't know when this thing's going to launch. You guys can follow up on my Patreon or on my Telegram or Discord group to figure out exactly when in the next 24 to 48 hours. But nonetheless, the page is here. This is where you can get into the pre-sale. You can purchase your PREV tokens and exchange those for REV later on. And again, with those REV tokens, you're going to be able to get into these first two pools to start your farming. And the key here, that 30-minute grace period is a big deal, because a lot of times shady stuff can happen within the beginning of the launch if it doesn't launch nicely. So it's nice that the emissions are going to start after you have time to get settled into the farms, parking your tokens so that you can start earning right away. So that's a pretty good thing right there. Next page here. So we have layer 1 Manor Farm. Layer 1 post raise. All the farms excluding the drip BUSD pools and the native farm pools, which is the rev token. I mentioned this earlier. Will have a deposit fee. So that means your first 3 pools that I just talked about will not have a deposit fee. All these other ones that you're going to see here do have a deposit fee, which is going to be used in good places. All funds added to the layer 1 token, which can be staked on PancakeSwap. Basically, their deposit fees will be used. 30% of those deposit fees will be used for buybacks, and then you have 70% that's going to be used for marketing, development, and platform costs. So that's a little bit of a nebulous term right here, marketing, development, and platform costs. But again, I'm going to kind of trust that they're going to be doing the right thing with that, because they have a good track record. These aren't just new guys that are taking 70%, and you have to cross your fingers and hope they do the right thing with it. These guys have been around the block at least since July, trying to do right by the community. Unlike most farms that leave the capital sitting idle in contracts, we're going the extra mile to squeeze every bit of value out of the capital on the platform while keeping it low risk through PancakeSwap staking. So that is that. Let's go ahead and go down a little bit more here. They do have a referral program for those of you who do referrals. I'm not sure if anybody that watches my channel still does referrals. I'm sure you guys might watch other people, or you might already be plugged into this. But if you want to start doing that, it can be a huge earner for people. That's kind of how I started my whole journey in crypto. You can get a lot of commissions from doing referrals on here if that is your thing. Their drip partnership. So again, these are basically the guys. Drip and the Manor Farm are very closely related. So everything that you're seeing happening with the drip token is because of the anticipation for this Manor Farm being launched. But there's a lot more to cover here, so I'm not going to kind of harp on or dwell on one or two things. Let's keep moving on here. So we said drip is a major promotional vehicle of the farm. Drip will see a spike in demand, which we're currently seeing right now, and farmers will be incentivized to add BUSD liquidity to drip, giving drip a price appreciation. For those of you who are already in the drip community, I'm sure you guys know about this already. You have drip liberation. Now, the drip token itself has a lot of fees involved with it, which sort of boosts the token's price because of those fees, and that's kind of a barrier to entry for people wanting to use drip in this platform. But they will have a contract in here called drip liberation, which will eliminate those high fees and allow you to get those liquidity pool tokens to either put on the farm or put other places, which we'll talk about in a little bit, without paying that 10% transaction tax. So again, they thought about everything here. Scrolling down here a little bit more, this is something that I'm sure a lot of you guys know about. the Drip BUSD LP miner. So just like your BNB miner, your Cake miner, and all those other things that I haven't really been talking about, but other people have been, Drip is doing their own similar miner. Pays 3% per day. Those things are hot commodities right now, so we'll see how this thing works. Definitely a higher risk thing, and it's outside the scope of the farms and all that stuff. But for those of you who are really into that, you can make a lot from these miners if you're early and if they're successful. You've seen it happen. I mean, you watch other YouTubers who have been really, really successful with this. It can be a good thing if it works out nicely. And again, same deal here. For getting those liquidity pool tokens, you can get them at a cheaper price using the Liberation contract. And that Liberation contract, everything is on here. So you can see that it's here. The buttons just don't work yet because this thing isn't officially launched yet. So we have the Drip BUSD liquidity pool miner. They have referrals there too. So we kind of read through that already. And I think that's pretty much it. So after this, they start talking about layer 2 transitions. So the last kind of important note, guys, is you want to make sure you stay plugged in. Don't just start farming and forget about it. Within the first 14 days, you'll be able to get your rev rewards and you'll be able to use them in layer 2 later on. But when you get to the end of those 14 days, you're going to have to kind of remove your liquidity and do some other stuff with it, because your tokens are going to essentially become worthless if you keep them for too long. So stay plugged into here. And I think I forgot to mention this, but one of the things that you'll notice with the farms, this is a pretty big deal, I should have mentioned this earlier. One of the things you'll notice with the farms, or maybe it's in the pools, yeah, here it is. So with your rev tokens that you earn from that farm, or from farming anywhere in here, you can actually double down on them instead of just keeping them in your wallet. Stake them here in the pools section, and you're going to earn BUSD, a stable coin. So that makes it a lot safer in terms of what you're doing, and that's kind of where the intricacies of this contract comes into play. You're not just farming a token that's going to kill itself to death. You're farming a token that you can then farm with to get a stable coin with. So I think that really is just going to keep the community and the whole system, the gears in the system continuing to turn instead of just going in a majorly downward direction. But again, that's where I'm going to stop right here. I mean, the white paper is there for you guys to look at. Everything that I talked about in this video is on the website. I'll leave a link to the website in the description below, and we'll get ready for this launch. And hopefully, I'm not sure if I'll be able to make a video on time because I'll be traveling, but I'm gonna try to when this thing does launch in the next 24 to 48 hours, or at least the launch date gets announced. I'll try to give you guys an update as soon as possible. But stay plugged into this, especially if you're into stuff like this. I think this one's gonna be pretty darn good. A lot of people are hyped on it, and like I said, Drip did really well in the past. So we'll see what happens. That is everything for today, guys. Again, if you want to get these videos earlier than everyone else on YouTube, follow my Patreon page, select a membership level, get my videos early, and get access to my Discord community where we're talking about this stuff before I make videos about it. I will catch you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.